There's no easy way to say this. Guess I'll say it to your face.
We're actually talking about drums this time. It's going to be about guitars, amps, and pedals, and I'm joined by Mr. Robbie Blake of the Karma Effect. How you doing, Robbie?
That's me. I'm good, thank you. Right, and how you doing?
I'm not bad. Do you know what? I'm going to start this off because I remember the first time we saw you was obviously when we did that gig at Leo's Red Lion in Kent. To be honest, prior I wasn't sure who you guys were, but we remember rocking up and we played Leo's once indoors.
I don't think we were before that. That was our first gig.
Because that's right, it was. But I think you guys, and I think you've been in like covers, like a function band. I think were you all in a function band, or like was only certain members? I can't remember.
So Henry, Ash, and Seb.
Yeah.
They classic rock covers theatre show. So they've been playing together for a few years, and we've all played with each other and in other forms over the years. But yeah, never as this lineup. And then it just sort of came together, I think, slightly before COVID, and then COVID hit, and it was like, oh, maybe this is not meant to be. Stuck with it, and then the first gig we did was with you guys, and I think that was pretty much as everybody was sort of let off leash for the first time since we were all locked down.
But I remember when we watched you in sound check, and Dave and Pete will testify to this statement. You did like a couple of songs, and we were just like, should we just turn around and go home? Let's leave the gear there, that's it, game over sort of thing. Honestly, we were like completely blown away, and we thought, right, this is going to be a hard gig for us because you like set the bar, I don't know where, just very, sort of almost unimaginably high, and we were like, okay, right. And then we rocked up, we played, I think on the drive home, we were like, that was okay, but we shouldn't have turned up. Honestly, you guys were so, like, musically, individually, very incredibly talented as individual musicians, and then obviously as a band, just very tight, cohesive, and just very sort of fluid, great, sort of fluidity between each songs. And it was just like, yeah, honestly, Henry, great, great pipes and whatever. But yeah, you guys are just, very, very good. And we, and then from then we thought, right, okay, these, and I still think that now, sort of one to watch, because you're just, like I said, you're a musician's band as opposed to, so there's like two planes or whatever. You've got like, you can be in a band and play your instruments well, and just whatever. But then like when you're a musician, it's like completely different. It's not only kind of, how to play your instrument, but you know how to play your instrument with everyone else. It's kind of being orally kind of aware of what everyone else is doing, locking in with the vocalist or the voicing of the bass or whatever, and you just kind of, it's like everyone gets their moment to do X, Y, and Z, as opposed to look at me, I can I'm Ingwe Malmsteen or whatever. He's very good, but just shredding. And so yeah, you kind of, it's like a football team, it's a joint effort to kind of produce something. And you guys were phenomenal. Yeah, I remember that gig, and it was one of the first gigs I think we'd done live. It was the first gig you'd done live, and you absolutely knocked it out of the park, and we kind of went, it's all right. But yeah, you're great. I mean, let's just talk about your sort of early beginnings. So as a,
well, it's funny because I remember that gig, for example, I think we must be one of the only bands in history to have, formed just before a global pandemic, and then sort of be put away, but all said to each other, like we can still write an album. And so I'd say probably 80-90% of that album was written as me and you are doing this now. It was written over Zoom because, everything locked away. And, just on a side note, isn't it so weird when you think back to like 2 years ago and we all just sat at home and did nothing?
Yeah.
But we wrote this album and we thought, this is cool. And I remember saying to Henry the night before that gig, we've committed to this because we've written and recorded an album and we've never played it live. Most bands will sort of come up with new material and trial it live and see how it down. And I said to Henry, what if nobody likes it?
Yeah.
You know, we've our first ever gig as this band. We've written and recorded the album. What if no one likes it? And then we turned up. We met you guys, and it just went down so well. And we thought, well, maybe it's all right. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. And it seems to be doing all right. But I think, like you said, from an outside perspective, if I was looking at the Karma Effect, you can see that we're a group of musicians who have been doing things for a few years as musicians, and then come together as a group, and we sort of respect each other as musicians, rather than when you're younger, you sort of get together and that's cool, just hang on this chord for a while, and we've come together sort of later in a musical career and respected the music a bit more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sitting there as musicians, you've got Ash, who is an awesome drummer, who you should interview at some point.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But he's a great musician as well. I've worked with drummers over the years who will just sort of say, no, I'll just play the drums. That's it. And we're lucky to have a drummer like Ash, where he'll go, he doesn't necessarily know the notes or the technical terms.
Yeah.
He'll go, Rob, that part where you go, da-da-da-da-da, what about if you played it like this? And it's a group of musicians who are, looking for the best out of the music, rather than, like you said, musical wanking, like unnamed music. We won't slander anybody, but like you get your guitar heroes and your things like that. But as a band, when we came together, we said it's about the songs, and I hope that shows in the album that we recorded.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably going to be some songs on there from when we first saw you. Obviously, I've seen videos and stuff on YouTube, and obviously, the production's great. It suits, and obviously, like your logo, like branding's very important. Your branding is like on point. Obviously, it sort of just marries up quite harmoniously with the music. But yeah, I know what you're saying about. I'm not saying us drummers, we know nothing about guitar or chords, like pentatonic scales and all that. I'm like, okay, what's a B chord? I have no idea. But like you said, you can hum something in your head. So someone's played a melody, and then you can somehow pick out an alternative, like almost a harmony, like a pitch up or pitch down, and like you said, or kind of rephrase the rhythm, kind of to fit in with the drums, or vice versa. Like you said, that's kind of what being in a band's about. It's even like Dave going, go all Alice in Chains on that section, or Pete going, I'll just hold it back and go a bit jazzy or whatever. You're not teaching, you're not telling anyone how to play, but it's kind of like you said, you've got someone's obviously written the song, the lyrics, and have got a general vibe of whatever, and someone's got in their head how it should sound, and you kind of come together and you sort of almost dissect a song, and you go, right, and then it's like a puzzle, you piece it together, and it's for the kind of the greater good, as it's sort of not necessarily about criticism. It's just what's best for this song, and like what's best for the band. And like say talking about musicians leaving bands all the time, it's because they put it's the worst, it's for the best, but it's progression, it's evolution, and just sometimes to progress you've got to let a bag go and just carry on, however you want to phrase it.
But I think so Ash, for example, and I'm sure you do this with the Outlaw Orchestra, there'll be little things like so Henry generally plays chords because he's singing, and I will do a lead part. It's bad that I don't remember the name of the song, but
it's the one that goes
and then and that Ash picked up, and then he went, what's that bit you played there? And he just went and it just accented it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So many drummers would just let that go by. Just carry on with the groove they're
Playing
doing.
straight, yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy about working with a band, or working with this band.
Mm.
Because you've got guys who pick up on those things. Do you know what I mean? There's it's something as simple as do 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 do, and he, oh, let me accent that.
I mean, that's why if you listen to like Blackberry Smoke, Cadillac 3, you know, Brothers Osborne's, or like say modern country Americana. That, I mean, Blackberry Smoke are one sort of particular example, because you listen to a lot of their albums like Brit Turner. You know, very obviously, like I said, it's a very together thing, but just it like I said, it emphasizes certain chords. Even like the guitar player will follow what the drummer's done, and it will emphasize the drums, or like the bass, or you know, and it's just kind of gives it a bit, you know, something extra. Like you said, you can play. Someone could be playing I don't know, drummer doing like a Texas shuffle or whatever. You listen like ZZ Top, whatever, you know, and a guitar player could just be playing I don't know, just a straight down chord or bar chord or whatever, just a straight rhythm, and you kind of think, okay, that the drums sound nice, the guitars sound nice, but it's just kind of when you hear a band really together on the rhythm, on the straight on the beat, you know, it just really, really works. And I said sometimes you can differentiate between a band, like a pub band or whatever, and a musician's band, you know, because everyone, like I said, is listening out for what everyone's sort of doing. Not to take, you know.
So Henry, for instance, he comes from a real rock background, and I grew up listening on that, but my influences have always been blues. And growing up and developing as a guitarist, my influences were people like Freddie King, and I wanted to bring that to this band. You've got, you know, Henry, who's more of a rock guitarist, and then I wanted to bring that blues, how would you say, that blues influence to it. I don't know if that comes across, but you know,
yeah,
for
you
me,
can hear it in like the scales and things like that. Yeah, you know, but
you know, Freddie King, he one of my absolute favorite guitarists, and had a very unique way of playing. I don't know if I'm going too technical.
No, go for it. I'm not aware of him, to be honest. But yeah, carry on, because I'll look him up.
Oh, Freddie King, probably my absolute favorite guitarist. He played a big old Gibson, you know, 335.
Maybe go on.
Picks. So he had like the thumb pick and the two. And so I was watching him. I was like, I'm going to play like this. And so I learned Travis picking, which is it's like a hybrid. So you use your pick with those, and then use the other fingers. So like
almost sounds like banjo playing, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Dave probably uses that style quite a lot in your band.
Yeah, I'm trying to think how it works, because obviously you're playing a chord, but you're also picking with the other fingers at the same time. It's
so you got high. So I don't know if I'm going to bore you already. So
no, honestly, go for it.
Picking, which would just be you got down picking,
yeah,
up picking,
yeah,
alternator, up down. Then you've got picking with your fingers, and then you've got hybrid picking, which would be using both. So, and then you've got Travis picking, which is when you've got your bass in the blow.
okay, yeah.
So it's like sort of keeping that bass line going.
Yes, if you listen to the song "The Pusher," perfect example of what you're doing. Yeah.
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 So Freddie King was just the master of. So when Henry first asked me to join the band, I kind of felt this pressure. I was like, you know, have I got something to bring to this band? And I remember sitting there. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning, Ryan. My colleague was about to pick me up, and I think it was on a Friday, and we were getting together for the first time as a band, because they'd formed as a 4-piece probably late 2019, and I'd not yet joined the band, and so they asked me to join around February 2020, so literally just before COVID kicked off. And I remember sitting there thinking, oh, it's my first session, like I need to bring something to the band. And I was sitting there doing like the so James Burton, the guy who played with Elvis, let me think of something. And I was sitting there fiddling around with this riff, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'll take that to the band. Worst mistake is not recording your ideas at the time.
Yeah.
Because I went to work, came home, and I thought, right, what was that riff I came up with? And I sat there for fucking hours, Ryan, trying to work that riff out. And I couldn't remember it. And I knew how the fingers went, but I didn't know how the rhythm went. And what ended up coming out was this.
It's very ZZ Top. Yeah.
Well, yeah, which is Billy Gibbons, big influence on mine. So I took that to the boys and I said, "What do you think of this? Like, it's not very rock."
Mm.
And I went that Superstition drum beat, and all of a sudden we said, "Yeah, it's just got groove." And I don't know if you've listened to the album, but that is Doubt She's Coming Back. And so I said, obviously that riff that I originally wrote was not meant to be, because what I tried to work out from the original riff was what is now on the album. So it was meant to be.
I mean, this blues is kind of it's almost in every genre of music. Even like classical music. You can. You listen to most kind of like metal bands these days from whatever country. There's a lot of kind of classical, not just like the arrangements, but kind of like you have sort of crescendo, staccato, and all that. There's go back to like caveman, dinosaur, whatever. The earliest forms of music to now. It's not necessarily just evolution and progression, but like every band or most bands are original, but whatever music you play, whatever song you write lyrically or whatever, it's always a cocktail of other genres of music, other people's ideas, songs. You'll listen to Metallica or Slayer or Stevie Wonder or BB King, whatever, and unknowingly you'll write a song and you'll be basically in the sort of the most legal way ripping off two chords or something, or like you'll take a chord progression or a chord pattern and you'll kind of take one bit out and you'll kind of spin it around and make it and that's kind of I think what music is.
I'm not an expert on drums, but I genuinely believe guitar, all modern music now, it all stems from blues.
Yeah.
It all, like, whether it's funk or pop. So you've got your
sort of very
blues. If you look at things like James Brown riffs.
Yeah.
That note on the top. It's all blues.
Yeah.
They've just changed it. Oh, sorry, I forgot how to play guitar for a minute. you know, it's all it all comes from blues. And you know, you listen to Black Sabbath, who started heavy metal.
Yeah,
They were basically playing heavy blues.
yeah. It's like Howling Wolf, or like, you know,
Yeah.
Muddy
So
Waters. You know,
they were just playing heavy blues.
yeah,
In the next couple of years, people took what they were playing and heavied that up, and then people took what they were doing and heavied that up.
yeah.
It was a progression of blues.
Even listen to like chain gang music, you know, slave music, kind of, you know, working on the railway tracks, you know, kind of even without instruments, you know, and kind of how that sort of evolved into you sort of your blues, or your kind of,
Yeah,
your kind of lamenting of, you know, your
like
struggles and this, that, and the other, and you basically turned it into not necessarily obviously like a celebration of your struggles, but kind of almost a celebration of, you know, kind of your time's ended. You know, you've come off the railway tracks, and now you're kind of, you know, you're moving into your own life. So it's kind of a celebration of,
I
yeah,
look at blues. So my sort of, I don't know if it's the right phrase to use, like cutting my teeth was
yeah,
when I was about 16, 17. Took me to this blues jam in Brentwood, which is in Essex. It's about 5 miles from where I live. To this blues jam, and I thought I knew how to play blues. You know, most guitarists think that they can go, you know, they think they can play blues. And I thought, yeah, I'll be able to do it. And I sat there and absolutely shat my pants watching these old guys
yeah,
playing the blues properly, and getting up there and feeling absolutely humiliated. And everybody coming up going, oh, well done, mate, well done. And you go home and you think, I really need to practice.
yeah,
And so you go and you start looking up, what was that song that guy played? Let me look that up. And then you listen to that and you think, you know, these terrible recordings, or you look up the live videos on YouTube and you think, well, what was that little note that he did? Or the little, you'll understand this as a drummer, but like ghost notes,
yeah,
or it's the notes that you're missing out. Like Jimi Hendrix used to say, blues is the easiest genre to play, but it's the hardest genre to play well.
yeah,
If you want to get feeling from it, you know, anybody can go, uh, that's technically a blues,
yeah,
but it's those intricacies that. And I went home and I thought, I really need to, you know, all these old men at the pub, I really need to impress them.
yeah,
Home and absolutely just worked and worked and worked away. And then eventually you start to open new boxes and you think, oh, if I play that over that chord, and when he sings that, if I can add that little note in there, and it's all about the things that your Joe Blogs won't notice, but as a musician,
yeah, you'll notice, yeah,
yeah, you look at it and you go, that, you know, you could sit there with your dad at a gig and he'll go, yeah, that was good. But sitting there as a guitarist and you go, yeah, that was,
yeah,
you know, something. Do you know what I mean? Or you go with your girlfriend to a gig and they go, yeah, he's a good guitarist. Like, oh, Ed Sheeran's a really good guitarist. And you sit there as a musician and you go, he's all right, but he's not really.
yeah,
And you sit guitarist and you watch somebody like, you know, like Matthias Osato. Do you know who he is?
No, sounds foreign though. Go on.
So man, you need to look that guy up. And he's, you know, he plays guitar for Bruno Mars.
Okay, yeah.
And nobody in that audience is going to appreciate what he's doing.
No, they're all looking at Bruno.
In my opinion, he's one of the best guitarists on the planet. It's because of the intricacies and the things that he does between the notes.
Yeah.
That make him an exceptional musician.
It's exactly
like.
Oh, go on.
When you look at like Steve Gadd.
Yeah.
Most of the time, what he's playing is just a straight beat. But as a musician, you look at him and you go, no, it's those minute things that he's doing that make him a
top musician,
a real musician.
It's a bit like, so two very good examples. So you watch, Jeff Beccaro, Toto, and you listen to Rosanna. It's like one of the most famous sort of shuffles, beats in a song. And like you said, it's just the little ghost notes that he does in between the kind of 1 and the 3 or whatever. And he's obviously doing kind of like almost half-time 16ths on the hi-hat. And it's just kind of, because some people say, drums, easy, you're just bashing things at certain volumes or whatever. But, to be a good drummer, like I say, it's not just necessary, it's not power, not speed, groove, like playing in the pocket, is important. And the feel. But it's like the subtleties, and that's really what what separates a musician from someone who can play guitar is the subtleties, the light and shade. And we always, talk about that in the band in songs. It's kind of like, you push and pull, your natural push and pull. Like I said, the accents, the emphasis is on certain things. That's what really makes a song stand out. But the example I want to sort of talk to you about, there's a guy called Matt Halpin who is a fucking amazing drummer. He's a metal drummer. He's in a band called Periphery. They're kind of tech metal. There's a genre called Gent, DJENT. Just kind of when you've got heavy music, you've got some shouting, but you've also got some singing. Anyway, and I've been into them for quite years. My mate Phil.
I know Periphery. They're the ones that. Is it Icarus?
Yeah.
What's the song? Icarus.
Icarus Lives, I think, and there's a song called Ragnarok. But basically, I did. I bought some tickets to see him in, I think it was Islington, the O2, and he was doing a drum clinic basically before the gig. All he had was hi-hat, snare, kick drum. Very, very simple, kind of your basics of a kit. And there's about 40, 50 people there, young drummers, old drummers, whatever. And what he did, like if you listen to his music, like if I listen to it, it's kind of like if I was to notate it down or whatever, very kind of difficult to follow. But okay, what's he doing there? Okay. And then the moment you've kind of locked down like about a bar, he goes and does something else. You think, well, how's he done that? Yeah. And like if you listen to his cymbal work, he plays the cymbals like drums. He kind of takes out the drum kit. He's obviously got his kick pedal, whatever, and just his cymbal fills a phenomenon. Basically, what he says is like, look, start off with a kick, right? And it's like basically making a cake or foundations of a house, whatever. Start with the basics, kick. Then you'll bring in the snare, kick, snare, whatever. And then he'll bring in the hi-hat, and he goes, and brings it all together. He goes, actually, what I'm doing is just a 4/4. But like you said, it's where he's putting the notes. He's not putting them on the 1 and the 2. He's not putting them on the 1 and or the 1 E and a 2. He's putting them in these really kind of like millisecond, how I sort of best describe it, almost like if you imagine like, I don't know, what's the word? Like if you're reading a book. And like, or so you're reading a map and you're trying to find a place to go, but where you want to go is in the crease. You can't see it. He puts notes in that bloody crease, and you're really trying hard to see it, and you can't. It's just he's almost put that beat into like limbo infinity. And you think, how's he done that? And it's like you listen to Rush or a lot of prog music. You're kind of tapping, you're 4/4. You go right, I got it, and then all of a sudden you're like, shit, he's gone somewhere else. And it's just he's just an incredible drummer.
The Police, a song called Murder.
Yeah.
So that the way that song starts, and then when the riff actually comes in, it fucks you because you hear this, you hear this beat at the start, and you're like, okay, I've got my head around that, and then the drums come in, and you go, that is not what I thought.
Yeah, what you expected to come in, yeah.
But it still makes complete sense. like I used to sit there and, so you might like this, but before I played guitar, or you might not like this because I went to the dark side. I was a drummer before.
Okay.
And then I went to the dark side, Ryan. So now I look at things in terms of rhythm and accenting things. But I would always sit there and look at where to place things. So you got your 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Then go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and then 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then. Funk was a big thing for me. I think, you know, from playing drums before, it was always about like creating your own beat, like that Nile Rodgers thing. Being able
I was going to say, you just went from Dr. Feelgood, Wilco Johnson, to Nile Rodgers and Chic, and like, that's good.
Well, yeah, for me it was because I used to play in this band called the Shy Project, which was my first taste of going out as a band and gigging on a decent level, I suppose. And it was these two guys from Brixton who, one of them was a singer, one of them was a rapper, and they just wanted a beat, and they didn't necessarily know how to explain to me what they wanted. They just said, give me a beat to rap over. And so I'd sit there and think, when I discovered Nile Rodgers and the way that he described, you know, like being a guitarist, you can be a bass player and a drummer and do it all without having those guys there. You know, most people just think if you're playing a guitar, it's just like do you know what I mean? And then being able to do the you know, it's about being a band by just sitting playing the guitar.
That's why, like, I mean, you listen to like someone like Stevie Ray Vaughan. Just, you know, he's such a great player.
Like, there's no, you know, you get your SRV copies, but no one can do that. He would do that. So he kept the keep going and I'm not even going to do it justice.
No.
But there's guys who just think, what can I bring that's different? All Stevie Ray is doing is just going. But he's doing it more aggressive.
Yeah.
And
like on the upstroke,
he's just giving a. Terrible by me, but
it's kind of like how Lemmy got his sound. He just absolutely hammered the shit out of the bass and got that sound.
Guitar, you know, you just sit there and think, what can I do that's different? I'm not claiming to do anything different, but some of the guys who I'm influenced by, you know, I look at guitarists like Ryan, go and look up Freddie King, because for me, he's one of my. This is the reason why I got this guitar. Let me show you. I don't know if we're ready to start talking about gear.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's freeform, so yeah, let's get into it now.
Yeah. I mean, I've got so much shit to talk, but
no, shit's good.
this to me,
oh, nice hollow body, yeah.
Is a Les Paul but better.
So it's a okay, yeah.
Gibson 335.
Yeah.
So it's
hollow
solid
body
in the middle. It's like a Les Paul where it's solid in the middle. But then
so
the
it's
wing
semi-hollow body then? It's not
semi-hollow. Yeah. So you hollow on either side, and through here
it's solid. Okay.
Solid. But this,
because you got like sound chambers in the F holes, yeah.
But mate, playing this live is like wrestling a fucking wild animal, because the air that comes through these holes, you'll be playing it and you just feel this like Freddie King played. He didn't play a 335 actually. He played. I know you're not a guitarist.
No, honestly, I'm always up for being educated about what I don't know much about.
So you've got your 335, which is this, and then you've got your 345, which is what Freddie King played, which is basically this, but with another switch on it where you could sort of change the outputs of the pickups. I think he also 355, which was like the premium one where it had like the big inlay on the headstock and stuff. But just the sound that these get, like the
So was that on both of the pickups, or just the neck or the bridge?
So that is the bridge. Which is more like a brutal attack. Then your middle, which if you turn the tone off on one, gives you an Eric Clapton.
Yeah, a lot cleaner and sort of,
You think like Cream.
Yeah. So you got kind of less drive and gain as such, yeah.
Yeah, and then you go neck pickup, which is more throaty sounding.
Yeah.
A warmer sound. That's the 335. And then you got your Les Paul, which everybody thinks, that's your rock sound.
Yeah, your gold top, yeah.
Which is kind of that, but more bollocks.
Yeah.
That's your bridge pickup, neck pickup. Then your middle. If you're playing on rock, it's always bridge.
Yeah. Les Pauls are quite,
if you want to go really fucking balls to the wall, Ryan,
You get your SG again.
you got your SG.
So before you start playing, so I know like you got like your hip shop tremolos, and you got your Bigsby's and whatever. So has that got a tremolo on it?
So this,
So on the basic guitar, is that a okay?
However, it doesn't do
Okay,
anything.
well,
So Billy Gibbons played one like this, and I thought that looks really cool.
so is it literally just a fold away tremolo?
It is. So what it's meant to do, you fold this out. It's what you call a sideways trem.
Right. Okay.
So when you wiggle it this way,
Yeah.
it pulls
The strings. Yeah.
in, so it sort of loosens them.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
yeah,
cool looking trem, but the worst design ever.
Okay. Because you can obviously bend the strings up. You can obviously bend it the other way.
So on this, you can't.
Oh, actually, I can see you can't. Yeah. No, you can't. Yeah. Yeah.
So when I got this, Ryan, I was like, that's fucking cool. And I used it, and literally the second you'd use it, it would go completely out of tune.
Out of tune, yeah.
So this is completely blocked off now. I basically took this plate off and blocked it in there. So if you were to use this now, it doesn't do anything. It just looks cool.
No, you probably hang your washing off it, like hang a shirt off it as best. But
definitely big enough for us to drink on.
So I mean, like guitars, I mean, like there's so, I guess, like your pedals and your amps, there's so many variables, not just your, gold foils, humbuckers or whatever. And obviously the wood, rosewood, maple, whatever. Then the neck, strings, obviously the electronic. There's just headstock even, machine heads. There's so many different, and that's kind of why I'm so interested in guitars. It's just like you could have obviously like a Les Paul gold top and then Les Paul, I don't know, like flame burst or whatever, sunburst finish. And they'll probably look the same, but maybe obviously, like you say, you'll have a Seymour humbucker at the bridge and then at the neck. What's the solid one? The silver solid rectangle? What's that pickup?
Well, like
the solid. Yeah, what are they called? They're
humbuckers.
Okay, humbucker. So what am I thinking? Like where you've got the two kind of strips as such with the magnets. What are they called?
That's what these are.
But
these are just covers on them.
Okay, so right, yeah.
Look at this one. One of them I've taken the cover off of.
Right, okay, so it's exactly the same pickup, but right.
It's got a cover on it.
So by taking the cover off the humbucker, it does what?
So what I did on this one, I was getting a lot of feedback on this pickup. And somebody told me that small, tiny amount of air that's between the cover and the pickup create microphonic feedback.
Yeah.
Where that air is like vibrating within it. And off, and genuinely, it sounds ridiculous, but it worked. So everybody's like, "Oh, what did you do that to make it look cool?" I'm like, "No, for me, it's not about looking cool. It's about, does it work? Does it do a job?"
But you also see like humbuckers where if you've got them like that, you'll kind of see one slightly raised up and the other one, so they almost look like a cross. And I'm guessing obviously that certain magnets are closer to like your A string or your B string or whatever.
I don't mean this to sound the wrong way, but do you know what a humbucker is? Do you know why it's called a humbucker?
Go on, I should know. I think I do know, but go on.
Learn, right? So on a Strat, you've got your single coils.
Single coil, and
So you get a hum from those.
Yeah. And you don't.
Where you've got a hum.
Yeah.
Basically, a humbucker is two single coils.
Yeah.
But one is in reverse to the other. Don't ask me the.
Is it like reverse phase or something like that?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about reverse phase.
Or like reverse polarity or something.
Yeah, I think reverse polarity. It cancels the hum.
Yeah.
So humbucker, it cancels the hum.
I wonder what they called it, like a humfucker. That probably wouldn't have sold well, but I quite like humfucker.
Yeah. There might have been some legalities around that.
Yeah. But
But
yeah,
man,
I mean, so I mean, because you're talking about Freddie King and stuff, do you have like top 5 guitarists or top 10, or I don't know if we go on all night, but like, do you have a certain set of guitarists? You're like, yeah, I'm influenced by that person, that person, that person, and I'm still influenced by that person now.
Before we go there, can I just show you the coolest looking guitar ever?
Okay. If it's not if it's not a Firebird, I don't want to know. No, I'm joking. Go on.
Well, funny you should say that, Ryan.
I like the shape. Why do you like the shape? It looks cool. But yeah,
it's so impractical. Look at the size of the fucking headstock.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay in tune. It's a ridiculous
Doesn't it?
guitar.
No.
No.
Well, I was gonna say, like, you haven't even got. There's no tremolo. You haven't got a capo on it, so.
But it's the length of it, like from here to the end of that. I can't even fit it in the. And it's got banjo tuners on it.
Okay. Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But looks cool. That's all you need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not got a lot to say about that. I don't know. It looks cool. I swapped it for a Strat.
Okay. You regrettably, in hindsight.
No,
No?
not at all. It was a reissue of a '62 Strat.
Right.
And I've always had a basis of, if I'm not using it, get rid of it.
Go on. Yeah. Yeah.
And always regretted it.
Well,
apart from,
that
was a good swap, but
yeah,
I've always sold guitars and always gone, I never should have sold that. Do you do that with drum gear?
Yes. Okay. Perfect example.
I've done it so many times. I'll be like, oh, I've got this guitar. I've not used it in a few months. I'll sell it.
Why?
And then I'll
go on.
And look back in like 6 months and go, why did I sell that?
Well, I went from. I'm not saying this isn't going to mean anything to you, but I went from a DW 9000 single pedal. DW 9000 is probably like, when I say industry standard, it's like, because they do like machine direct drives, which are like almost $1,000.
So like I said,
yeah,
I did play drums for
okay.
guitar, so I do got an idea.
So I went from a 9000, and I think, what did I do? I tried for some reason, I thought I wasn't getting on with it. In hindsight, I'm pretty sure I just didn't spend enough time playing with the tension and the angle of the beat and all that stuff. And I swapped it for a Tama Speed Cobra, because I thought, I'm trying to get speed. Obviously, it's a lot to do with foot technique and everything, sliding up and down the board, blah, blah. And because the Speed Cobra had basically a spring, sort of, and you could adjust it to be in the middle of the footboard, sort of towards the front. And yeah, I played it for maybe, 8 months, less than a year. I go, why the hell did I swap that? Why did I swap my 9000 for a Speed Cobra? It had a nice case and everything, but I was like, okay. And then I basically got rid of the Speed Cobra, and I got a DW 5000. So that's like your next one down, but I got a double pedal. And now, it's a boring story, it's not, but the first thing, when I bought my first drum kit back in 2000, must have been the end of 2003, because I basically, instead of doing a gap year and travel, I basically worked at Virgin Megastores and Heathrow Airport, landside, met loads of famous people, Robbie Coltrane and stuff, bless his heart. And yeah, I saved up, I can't remember how much money, quite, a big chunk. Bought a Tama Star Classic from this drum shop in Wales. Mum and Dad sort of gave me the rest of the money to buy like my cymbals. So I had like nearly £1,000, about 1,200 quid actually, in like cash in a backpack, like I'd robbed a bank or done a drug deal or whatever, going to this place called Chaz Foots in Dilly Circus, Oxford Circus, one of the circuses, and I think they're shutting down. Anyway, I bought all these cymbals and whatnot. And the first thing I did is I bought a Tama. It was just an Iron Cobra double pedal. And Iron Cobras are kind of, again, sort of almost like industry standard for a kick drum pedal. I went to uni 2004, and I used to be like into the whole church thing. That's kind of weirdly how I got into drums. The church band didn't have a drummer, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll give it a go. And then it sort of rest is history. And I did this. Gone.
A lot best musicians I've met have been church musicians.
Yeah. No, some of them are amazing. Like, you know, I know quite a lot of, you know, some people in the past. But basically,
Yeah, man.
did
A few
this.
years ago,
Go on.
doing like the whole wedding circuit and stuff.
Yeah.
You meet these bass players and drummers, and they're all church musicians, and they just know everything. Like they don't even know the songs beforehand. You'll just be like, "Oh, see," and they just know that they can just play it.
Yeah, no, I kind of
Sorry,
I know what you mean. But
sorry,
basically,
but
got involved with this church, which was around the corner from my halls in Southampton, and I think I was part of like the worship group there, whatever. And I said, look, let's do some songs, you know, some sort of classical hymns, you know, choral songs or whatever. So I said, look, I've got a double pedal. Let's do sort of a metal version without the Satanism of "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." The musicians, I can't remember their names, but I remember the guitar player. They weren't very good, and it was basically me, sort of doing this kind of like, "Oh Come All Ye Faithful." So the rhythm was like me, sort of doing like a snare, sort of like. And then the kick drum had like, like, and I remember just not really understanding how to use a double pedal because it's, you know, yeah, there's sort of technique to it. And then I sort of ditched. I was like, I don't know how to fucking use this thing. It was like getting on a horse and going, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I got my 5,000 whenever it was 3 months ago. Did a gig in Chesterfield, and I was just using it not in terms of like death metal or like Slipknot, like really quick. It was more for like really quick quadruplets or whatever, or sextuplets, just to give it almost a bit of danger, a bit of edge. And I love it. You know, it's obviously it's quite heavy, so I've got to adjust the tension a bit. But yeah, I love it. And the thing is, I didn't want to get a double pedal for so long because I was like, right, so inspiration. It's not my top drummer. I don't know, like, oh, what's your inspiration? You go Bonham, and everyone's like, it's a cliche, you know, someone to reference, but. He does with his single pedal what most people can only do with a double pedal. And again, it's all technique, practice, stamina, strength, all that. And yeah, I mean, you can get some people who've got a double pedal and they can make a very basic fill sound phenomenal. You go, wow, that sounds great. You go, yeah, he's got a double pedal. I'm not saying all drummers like that. But I was like, right, I wanted to learn the single pedal discipline, really get the triplets, the quick doubles, and even kind of. So if you imagine like a double pedal going like that, and sort of, you know, doing that on a single pedal, going and just almost like training your foot for stamina and power, or whatever. So it's almost like, I don't know, I'm not saying being a purist, but yeah, I wanted to really get, you know, really good on my right foot. Obviously, you know, having a single pedal, you've always got a dominant side with drums. You know, you've got your right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot, and always like the hi hat foot, unless you play double pedal, or whatever. Generally, kind of weaker for power. And yeah, so I'm just kind of like I've got a practice pad for a kick drum, and just doing that, like, you know, not even trying to go fast, but like, you know, it's like you sort of start a marathon, you go slow, whatever, then you sort of build up, and just doing that for ages, and then just doing rudiments and sort of doing paradiddles or whatever, and then you just kind of, I don't know, yeah. And I just love my double pedal. I don't overuse it, like it's more for danger and edge as opposed to like, you know.
As a musician, it's learning to have that technique and then learning to control it and learning when to use it.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, one of the best guitarists in the world, I can't play like him at all, is Jeff Beck.
Okay, yeah, nice.
They like. You know, that technique.
It's almost like crying. That's what I call it. You know,
not trying to play like him, but do you know that it's finding where the note is and then bending into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's easy to get carried away with, like you were saying with the double pedal. It's easy to go, with a trem, it's easy to just go. But then learning that technique of
Yeah.
learning where to use it and how
Yeah.
to use it tastefully.
Hmm.
Not sure I've done that, but
No, I mean, I can't do what you do, but it's just like I said, it's just fascinating. So I mean, we've done like guitars, pickups briefly. So talking about like because I'm just trying to remember to that gig if you had a stack, or if you had a combo. I can't remember. Did you ever?
I just had this exactly what I'm using here.
Which is what?
The Victory.
Yeah. So what was Victory, and what was that? That's not a Bogner cab. What is it? Hoff. Okay. Yeah.
Hoff 9, which I bought it with the head. I didn't know much about them, and I've since learned that they're like basically bespoke cabinet maker in Scotland. And the story behind it is, I went round to Henry's one day, and he said, "I bought a new amp," and he bought that, which is a Victory Sheriff, and I played it for like 5 minutes, and I said, "I think I'm gonna have to buy one." And so I was looking around, and they were quite expensive, and I couldn't afford to buy a new one. And one came up on, I think I'd seen it on eBay, and the guy had it up for like, he had it up. Don't know if we should speak prices in case Victor
No,
are watching.
he had it up for some bit. Yeah.
Yeah, he had it up for a certain amount, and I saw it come up on Facebook Marketplace for less, and it said on there, "I've had the cab made to match it." I don't know if you can see, Ryan. It's like just the same colours, basically.
Oh, so it's not match it as in kind of like the homage and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it was made for this head, but he was like, "I've had it all like bespoke made, including like the color and everything." And he said, "May consider selling the cab separately."
Right.
Message for an offer. And so basically, he had it up for sale on Facebook Facebook Marketplace for a certain amount.
Yeah.
I said to him, "Will you do a deal for the both of them?" And so he said, "Well, make me an offer, and I'll see what I think." So I made him an offer for both of them for less than he had the head up for.
Right.
And he went, "Yeah, I'll do that." And I kind of felt guilty because when I went round to pick it up, him and his wife were there, and they had a newborn baby, and I thought, he's obviously trying to get rid of it because, I don't have kids, but I can imagine that it's a very expensive time. But I benefited from it.
Was you kind of like, right, little Timmy, that's your Teletubby present out the window. I've got a new amp and a head. So we're going outside, like, yippee! Sort of,
That's your birthday presents paid for, mate.
But because I've seen like Victory. Are they English? Victory or American? You can't.
Yeah.
Well, are they English?
Before that, Ryan, the amp I used before that was a JCM 800.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But it was a late 80s Marshall JCM 800. So at the time, I had a bit of money to spare, and I used to just look on Facebook Marketplace, which is where everybody sells shit really cheap. If you want gear, don't go on eBay, don't go on reverb.com, go on Facebook Marketplace, because people don't know what they've got. So I saw this advertisement, and it said, I think it was like 1988, JCM 800, 100 watt with matching 4x12 cab, no price. It
Right.
just said
Open top.
message for.
Yeah.
And there was a woman selling it, and I thought, okay, I'll message her. Maybe she's selling it for her husband or whatever. And so I messaged her. I said, I'm interested in this amp. How much is it? And no word of a lie, Ryan, she replied to me saying, if you come and pick it up this evening, it's yours for free.
Oh,
So I thought,
was it all working order or?
well, she said the amp, the head is not working. It needs some work.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, late 80s Marshall, decent amp. Even if I spend a couple £100 on it, getting it repaired.
Yeah.
Best part of the story is she gave me her address, which was about half an hour from where I live. Turned up at the door, knocked on the door. Who answers the door? Guthrie Govan. You know Guthrie Govan?
Yeah. What, you joking or?
Oh, not joking. And it was his girlfriend who'd put it up. And he answered the door and I said, ah. And he went, are you here for the Marshal? I said, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Basically, they were moving house the next day, and rather than take it with them, he just wanted it gone.
Yeah.
So it wasn't working. I think I spent about £200 getting it repaired, and it was a fucking awesome amp. And at the time, I was doing like theatre shows, doing like classic rock tribute stuff.
Yeah.
But everybody said it was just too loud. I'd have it.
Yeah.
I had it off stage, like facing out to the loading bay, and I'd have it on like volume 2.
Yeah.
And the sound guy would be coming up to me like, Robbie, you need to turn that down. I'd be like, I can't.
It's in the basement. I can't turn it down.
Hey, fucking 100-watt Marshall, like it doesn't physically go any
lower.
Yeah, I had to get rid of it. It was just too impractical, and it weighed probably about the same as a fucking Ford Fiesta.
Oh yeah, I remember like the old cabs. Yeah, the magnets on some of the speakers are just ridiculous. And even if you take the magnets off, the cab still weighs a ton.
Well, not even the cab, the head.
But yeah,
the head weighed twice what the cab did.
Yeah, all the transformers and capacitors and things. Yeah,
it was awful. But if you dialed it in and you could get the right sound, it was fucking awesome, because it was literally like every Iron Maiden album in the 80s. It was that, like that Gary Moore, Iron Maiden, that 80s rock sound. It had the punch. And then Marshall lost it when they did the JCM 900. Went a bit fizzy then.
Yeah.
80s ones, the 800s, were just fucking awesome.
Mm.
And this Marshall, this Victory Sheriff is basically a Marshall JTM. Well, it's kind of like a Marshall Plexi, but more usable.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like they've taken some of the wattage out of it and said, like, not everybody needs 100 watts. And it's usable. The whole Karma Effect first album, me and Henry had both of ours set up in the isolated room.
Yeah.
Turned up full whack. They're only 40 watts, which is more than one. Turned up all the way, and they just sound awesome.
And it's all valve, isn't it?
So if you're watching this, good job on these amps.
Yeah. I mean,
are
they all valve?
Yeah, fully. Yeah. It's literally straight up. It's basically a Marshall Plexi, but refined.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I think that's what a lot of people have done in the past, particularly in the past 10 years. They've just taken those classic sounds of 70s and 80s amps and just made them more usable and made them smaller. You know, if
Yeah,
I just show
smaller and lighter. Yeah.
this pedal board that I use, you know, so many people get hung up on like using these great big pedal boards. A delay, how big is that?
Yeah.
A phaser, a drive, and
Yeah.
a tuner, and you don't need anything more than that.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, that's the smallest pedal board I've seen. God, I say funny story.
Say
Just
I've
pedal
got
board. Go on.
more that I record with, but that's what I use live
Yeah.
because you know it weighs nothing,
Yeah. And it's all you need, basically. Yeah.
and there's nobody in that audience that's going to go, "Oh, you could tell that he's only using a little cheap
Yeah.
pedal." Like no one cares.
No.
However, when I'm recording, that's when the big boys come out. Like the one I said to you earlier, I was going to get from the garage, which is
Electro-harmonics.
that is a real.
T-Rex. They make some really good. Yeah. So
You can
that's like,
also,
is that a tape delay?
it's a real tape delay,
Yeah.
and I went into the studio, and the guy we were recording with, a guy called Mikey.
Yeah.
I said to him, "Matt, I need to use this tape delay." All right, bring it in, plug it in. So it's fine when you got it plugged in. You turn it on, and the motor inside it's
Yeah.
like, I can forgive the noise because you can't replicate a real tape echo.
No.
Like, I don't know how much you've heard of the album, but there's a song in it called "Stand," and at the start of it, it's the one that starts like.
Yeah. Very Blackberry Smoke. Yeah.
And I think on the record you can hear the thing, and we all said it doesn't matter because using that compared to a digital pedal,
Yeah.
it didn't do the same thing. It didn't have that
Yeah.
warmth. You know what I mean? It just added that. And you know, when you go and listen to a song on a vinyl, or you listen to these songs from the '60s and '70s, right, like they're noisy. They're noisy records. The background noise and the fucking sounds of things whirring in the back, they all add character to it. Nobody wants
Synthesized. Yeah.
you hear these like pristine, digitally mastered.
Yeah.
It just sucks the character out of it.
I remember when we recorded the second album at the Old Chapel Studios in Nutbourne, which is like Chichester. He had a Roland tape delay, and literally this box literally lifted the lid, and it's this reel of tape going around these kind of rotors that are just going like that, you know, like a snake. And it's funny when like Pete played his guitar, you can obviously speed it up, slow it down, and it's such a basic bit of kit. And I was like, oh my god, it sounds amazing. And that's, you know, like you said, you've got lots of pedals which will replicate certain things. I guess it's a bit like, I don't know, you get solid state amps which they say, oh, you know, it's like having a valve. It's not, because it's not a valve. It's, you know,
Never. And, you know,
yeah.
So when it comes to that, I am a snob. Like it's got to be a valve amp.
Yeah.
But I have done tours and I've done shows where you have to use a solid state amp because
Voltage
it's
and probably
practical.
Yeah.
You know, like it's easy for the sound guy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you know, like nobody in the audience is gonna know. Like, you know, if you do a show to 200 people,
yeah,
and play with a valve amp, and you do the same show to the same number of people with a solid state amp, it's going to be no different.
No, you know, the average Joe's not going to really.
Yeah, it's only on stage going, oh, I'm not quite getting that. But for me, when you're recording, that's when it has to be.
It sort of makes a difference.
Got to be a valve. Got to be real tape delay. You can't be using
artificial.
Not to know what the pedals are, but you can't be using those cheaper things. They do a job live.
Yeah.
But when you're recording, it's got to be, you know, it's got to be the real deal.
I'll tell you what we're going to do now, because I'm not saying we're getting on. Like, you haven't bored me. Honestly, I've learned a lot from you, and you're honestly, like I said, first gig we played with you. You know, great player, and hopefully, you know, we get to play on the same lineup, or you know, next year. That'd be a laugh. You know, what's that?
I was just saying, I hope so. I hope we do get to play.
So, what's your biggest fear?
Whew, that's a big question.
Don't say pissing yourself when on stage, because that's, I think, everyone's worst fear.
Biggest fear? That's
Fear/phobia.
Biggest fear? It used to be flying.
Okay, and now?
Or now it's not. I love flying. I'll be honest with you. As of lately, I tend to relax and don't let things bother me.
Yeah, putting the wrong shoe on the wrong foot. That's probably not.
That's
probably more annoying than anything else.
Yeah, probably done that a few times, but I blame that on the beer.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah, to be honest with you,
first single you ever bought?
First single I ever bought was 192000 by Gorillaz.
Okay. Shouldn't have showing your age. Okay. Okay. Trainer or boot?
It's got to be boots. It's got to be boots.
Okay. Favorite food?
Yeah. Favorite food? It's got to be a Ruby.
Ruby. Okay. Don't tell me you're a korma or a tikka masala man. You know, tell me you like a proper Indian curry. None of this bastardized stuff.
Got to be a Booner or a Jalfrezi.
Okay. Nice. First concert that you ever went to, and who did you go with?
Right, let me give you a little story. So it was December 23rd, 2006.
Okay.
And I've been sat in the living room. My dad said to me, "Come with me, we're going to go get some Christmas bits." And I said, "Right, okay." And so, bearing in mind, we live in Essex.
Okay, yeah.
Who's 20 miles east of London. And he took me on the train, and he took me all the way to Earl's Court, which is a good hour. And I remember thinking, this is a bit of a long way to go for some Christmas bits. We walked out of Earl's Court station, and I remember, so at the time, I must have been, so I'll give my age away here. It was 2006, so I was 12. And we walked out.
Young man!
There's a big billboard of Eddie.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I said, "Oh, Dad, look, it's Eddie." And he pulled these 2 tickets out of his jacket and he said, "Yeah, should we go inside?" And I made
Amazing.
He'd kept it completely secret. I had no idea. And it was brilliant. You know, that was my first concert, was Iron Maiden at Earl's Court.
That's pretty good. I don't know if this will top it.
Yeah,
it's different. So my first concert, I remember I went with a guy called Alex I was privately educated when I was younger, and look how I've turned out now. Yeah, my first concert was 1992, Wembley Stadium, Michael Jackson, Dangerous World Tour. Now that was kind of when he was on the cusp before he, had all that surgery and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, 1992 Dangerous World Tour. That was. I always forget the name of the drummer for Michael Jackson, but he's one of the most solid drummers you'll ever watch. And even the band, it was incredible. It was, yeah, it was so good. I remember they did. Oh, can't remember the name of the song now. It'll come to me. But going back to, you said first single, which is pretty good. My first single was Spice Girls' "Wannabe" I got it on cassette tape, went to Oxford Street to watch them turn the lights on, and I went with my mum. So that was a single I bought out of my own choosing. Don't ask why, but okay. First out, gone.
It was in HMV at Lakeside, and I remember my dad saying like, "Who's this Gorillaz?" And I was like, "Oh, they're really cool. They're really cool." And I had to ask him for the money for it and putting it on in his car, and then he was like, "Oh, this is the guy from Blur, isn't it?"
Yeah, Damon Albarn. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was cool. I do have the coolest concert story for you though. Before you move on,
go on.
There's a bit of a backstory to it. So when I was at school, we were in, must have been like year 10, so we were about 14, 15.
Yeah.
And there was a friend of mine, and his dad was South African.
Mm-hmm.
And while his dad was at school, they had an exchange program going on with the US.
Yeah.
And so he used to have this girl come and stay with his family, and then he would go and stay with her family. And she later married James Hetfield. So during year 10, it was lunch break, and my friend Tom said to me, "Do you want to bunk off last period of school?" I said, "What?" And he said, "Well, my dad's mate is in town." I said, "What do you mean?" He went, "Oh, James is in London." Right, okay. So we somehow managed to convince our RE teacher to sign us out of school, and he drove us up to the O2.
Well, your RE teacher.
Our RE teacher,
right?
Drove us up to Greenwich at the O2,
yeah.
and we went and hung out with Metallica when we were like 15.
Didn't you see like the big digital banner saying Metallica live here tonight, and your RE teacher thinking this isn't a teaching on the Bible. This is satanic music.
So I won't mention his name.
Okay, yeah.
But he's like the biggest metal fan. He's probably come to see you. I'll tell you his name afterwards because I know he goes to a lot.
Yeah.
But he, like, even I've been at gigs and he's turned up at them. But he somehow he turned up at our gig. Where we played at Leo's.
Yeah.
And we played there with Revival Black, and we were down in the boxing gym underneath.
Yeah.
And he came in. He went, "Hello, Robbie." And I looked at him. I said, "Fucking hell."
Hello, Mister So and So.
Yeah, I'll tell you his name afterwards. Because he still works there at the school. But he later told me that he went to the headmistress and said to her, "Oh, I'm going to take the boys up to see Metallica," and she allowed it.
Pretty good school.
So yeah, I don't know how he got away with it, but that was cool.
Extracurricular study period.
The real life Jack Black.
Yeah.
What's his name? The real life Schneebly.
Yeah, Mr. Schneebly. The next question was, favorite drink. It could be alcohol or non-alcohol. Let's go. Favorite alcoholic drink. Okay, obvious. Worst alcoholic drink.
Is there such a thing?
Baby Sham.
Yeah.
Cinzano. I don't know.
Is that, so I don't know about your first COVID lockdown experience, but I basically drank everything in the cupboard. So
Tabasco, Worcestershire sauce. Yeah.
If it had alcohol in it, then I was just drinking fucking what's that orange one?
Aperol?
No, it's like a
orange. I'm Bruno.
He drinks.
Who?
Like what your granny would drink.
Orange.
Oh, Contro.
Quantro. Oh, I love that's not in a yeah, Quantro. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So going back to food, sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Okay. Do you have a favourite dessert? So,
What do we do? Yeah.
no, that's signs of an alcoholic. No.
No, don't really. Not really a dessert man.
Okay. First album you ever bought?
First album I ever bought was. I'm gonna say it was probably an Iron Maiden album.
Okay.
Don't know which one because I remember just thinking I had to have them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would have been.
Okay. Okay. Jeans, boot cut, straight fit, or flares?
Straight.
Straight. Okay. I had another one. Okay. I know you play guitar, so I'm gonna go Fender or Gibson. Forget what model, Fender or Gibson.
It's got to be Gibson for me.
Okay. Drums or guitar?
Originally,
Go on. Yeah.
I would have Fender because. Would you want me to tell you this in a separate?
No, do it now. Yeah, go
on. So, when I was about 13, I was ill one day, and I stayed at home off school. And my dad had rung into his work and said, "I'm going to stay at home." And I remember sitting on the sofa with my dad, and he said, "Right, you're not going to lay about doing nothing. You're gonna learn something." And so we had a VHS player, and he said, "Here's something for you to learn." And he put in Deep Purple, 1975, at the California Jam.
Right. Okay.
Sitting there, not really knowing what to expect, and then my mind being blown. Richie Blackmore,
Yeah.
the way he played that Strat, and the way he smashed up those Strats, and I said to my dad, "I want to play the guitar." And that was where it started. And I had, sort of beg him for weeks on end, saying, "Can I have a guitar, please? Like, can you get me a guitar that looks like Richie Blackmore's Strat?" And so he bought me this guitar. It was about 50 quid. It was a white Strat copy.
Yeah.
Rosewood neck. It looked like Richie Blackmore's. And when that came, he'd ordered it through a catalogue, and it got delivered, and that thing was just worn out to death. I played that thing to death. The first Strat, it's funny you should ask about, was it Fender or Gibson, because I was entirely Fender, and I think that's because if you ask any guitarist, the way of getting into guitar, unless you've got rich parents, is through playing Fenders, because they're more accessible. You can get a Fender relatively cheap. And I was probably about 15 and had a Saturday job working in a little shop in Basildon. And every day when I finished, I'd walk home to get the train back to Leyden, which is where I live. And every day I'd walk past this cash converters, and I saw this blue Stratocaster, and it was in my eyes, it was a real Fender, and it was a Mexican Strat. So with Fenders, you got your different levels. You got your Mexican, the bottom level, Japanese, American.
Yeah.
Sure. There was this Mexican Strat, and to me, it was, oh my God, it's a real Fender. Never really, you see him on TV and stuff, and never seen something like that. it had no price tag on it. And I walked in and I said, "How much is that Fender Strat in the window there?" And the guy said, 250 quid. And so I said to him, I haven't got that money, but can I pay you gradually for it? And they said, well, because you're not 18, we can't do that, but we'll put it out the back. And if you come in every week and give us what you can,
it's 20p, yeah.
Once you've paid it off, it's yours. So it took me about 3 months to pay off this Strat. And every week I'd go in there and I'd give him, 10, 20 quid or whatever. And he'd say, right, play it for half hour. And then he'd go, right, get out.
Yeah, hang off.
And right, when I bought that Strat, I walked out of there. I was
Please with punch.
Cat's pajamas. I had a Fender Strat. And I was so fucking proud of that Fender Strat. And I played it for years. And the neck was just worn out. And it got to a stage when it was about 4 years later or so, and I had no money. And a friend of mine, who was a friend at the time, he said to me, I'll buy it off you. And when you got the money, buy it back. So they gave me 200 quid.
£50, yeah.
He had this Strat. And then about 2 months later, I said, all right, can I buy it back off you? And he went, no, I've sold it.
Yeah, it's coming, go on.
I thought, you bastard. So, Ryan, about 4 years after that, I went to this blues jam in Romford in Essex, which is about 5 or 6 from here. And the colour of this Strat, it was quite unusual. It was like an ice blue metallic. And I see this guy playing it. And I thought, that looks like my Strat. But it was a different neck on it. I thought, it can't be. It must just be one similar colour. And so I said to the guy, I had a Strat that colour. And I sold it to a bloke. I'm not going to say his name. And he went, yeah, he sold it to me. And he said, I had to change the neck on it because it was worn out.
Yeah.
He said the neck was worn out, so I had to change it. And I felt sad. I was like, that was my Strat. But you know what it's like as a musician. Instruments come and go.
Did he play it better than you? Is that why you were sad, or just because he had it?
No, just because of how it happened. I was like, I didn't have any money, so I thought I was going to get back off this guy, and never did. And then he sold it to someone else who made it his, changed the neck.
Yeah.
So it wasn't my guitar anymore. But you end up with your own guitars, like this. This is my guitar now. This one's got a bit of a story to it. I don't know if you want to hear it.
Go on, yeah.
So 2020 was a bit of a shit year for us all, wasn't it? 2020, my mum passed away.
Oh, sorry to hear that, mate.
She was born in 1957. And one of my all-time favourite guitarists was Dwayne Allman, who played a 1957 Les Paul, which was like the gold top. Paul. So I'd saved a bit of money over that year, and I thought, I'm gonna buy a guitar with it. So I bought a 57 reissue.
Yeah.
I thought, it's obviously what she would have wanted. And it was the year she was born, 57. So I named it Rosie after her. And you see the rose.
Yeah.
You can see the rose on the back.
Yeah, yeah.
You see that rose?
Yeah.
That was her name, Rosie. So
my fiance, she's called Rosie as well.
there you go.
So you know, must be a good name.
Good name, yeah. But yeah, that's and then we've got. Don't even know where to begin. So, my dad's an East London boy, and bearing in mind he's 63.
Mm-hmm.
When he was a teenager, he was on the bus in East London with all his friends, and they were all talking about this dog. And someone went, "Oh, was it a girl dog?" My dad said, "No, it was a bloke dog." And to this day, 50 years later, they all still call him Bloke Dog. So my dad bought me this guitar. So this guitar is called Bloke Dog.
There we go.
This is Bloke Dog.